So let's talk about boondocking without the need for big inverters. If you followed our channel for a while, you know that we were supposed to take this little Lance up to Alaska, but some family reasons came up and we elected not to go, and I'll post a link to the video that explains why we didn't go. When we first started thinking about the trip to Alaska, we knew that we had to get prepared for boondocking. The group that we were going with was going to be moving fast and furious, and we're going to be doing a lot of boondocking. This rig does not have an inverter, although it did come with 2 lithium-ion batteries and 1 solar panel, and I added another, but that didn't do anything for alternating current. A couple months before that, Bluetti had reached out to us and they wanted us to test one of their smaller power packs. And we were, excited to do that. But we explained to them what we were planning to do with this Lance, and they suggested that we test and try the Bluetti AC200L. And one of the key reasons for that was it's got an RV plug for 30 amp, and this is a 30 amp rig, and we thought that was going to be very, very beneficial. So in this video, we're going to talk about how we've used it, the most effective use of it. We'll go through the specifications and options and capacities and those kinds of important things as well. But at the end of the day, it's really most important on how you use it. We're going to roll the intro and we'll get right into it when we come back. So welcome back, and if you're new here to our channel, I'm Ken, one half of the Roadsmiths. The other half, Pam, is not here right now. She's actually in Florida vacationing with our middle daughter. A good little bit of away from me time, because everybody needs a little away from this guy's time for sure. So what we want to do is cover a couple of the use cases of how this can be used. And then what we're going to do toward the end of the video is we're going to share with you how we found to be the most effective use of the Bluetti. So you'll have to stick around to see that, or fast forward, which I'm sure people do anyway. But let's talk about just the first basic thing. One is, you can recharge your iPhones, your iPads, things of that nature. You've got plenty of USB-C power. You've got AC power, so you can plug things in to charge, or you can plug things in to run, whether it's a coffee pot, whether it's, a hair dryer, whether it's a microwave, or whether it's a toaster oven. You've got, you can run this independently. Or because of the way this does have a native 30 amp RV connection, that makes it much more flexible and in what you can do with that. So one of the things you can do is basically use it to recharge your house batteries. So if you tend to be running low on your house batteries, maybe you've run them out overnight, then you can get up without running the generator, turn this on, and that'll start to recharge your house batteries. Of course, it'll be draining this as well. So that's an ample use. And of course, when it's doing that, you can still run AC off of this throughout the time that you've got it plugged in. So it won't run an air conditioner. I haven't really tried it with this. We don't have a soft start, so I'd rather not even give that a shot. So again, two good use cases, two basic use cases. Let's get into some of the specifications first. So the Bluetti is a pure sine wave inverter, which is important for sensitive electronics. From a capacity perspective, it's 2,300 watts. It can surge up to 3,600 watts. It's got multiple ways to charge it, recharge it, if you will, via solar, via DC input, and via AC input as well. It can recharge in 45 minutes from a dead start, so to speak, on AC to about 80%, and 2 hours on a full charge. In terms of solar, it can accept up to 1,200 watts of solar arrays, if you will, and it's got a solar charge controller built into it already. We have a 200 watt panel that Bluetti provided us as well, and so that, that's going to be a slower charge, but if you're actually using it during the day and you've got good full sun, it'll actually help kind of keep the batteries mostly topped off. It has 11 outputs, and so it's got 2 USB-C, 2 USB-A. It's got a DC output as well for a cigarette lighter adapter, 4 110 15 amp AC outlets, and as I mentioned, the 30 amp outlet as well. So for those of you that are math majors, realize that that was only 10, and I mentioned that there was 11. The 11th, and this is a little bit obscure, is a 48 volt, 400 watt DC charger capability. Now, you do have to have another Bluetti part to do that. The use case for that, from what I can see, is that if you're in, like, you know, a van or something like that, and you wanted to actually use this to recharge your house and your starting batteries, you can do that from this with that part by getting that wired in. I think in our use case with the travel trailer, that I don't see that making sense for us, but leave a comment below if you have run a Bluetti or you're in a travel trailer, if you've found some way to use the 48 volt output with the extra part, the DC to DC charger. I haven't found a way to do that. So that gives you, like I said, 11 of the inputs. Because the Bluetti is powered by lithium-ion batteries, it can actually take up to about 3,000 charges. Now, I haven't seen a way to change any of the battery packs inside, and I haven't asked Bluetti about that, but I'll do some research to see if you ever needed to replace that, what that would be like. So as I mentioned, it's got 3 inputs for charging. You can charge via DC with a cigarette lighter adapter in your car. That's probably going to be the somewhat least effective in terms of the power capability of that. You can charge it with AC, 15 amp AC 110, and that is pretty effective to get that. Like I said, we talked about the capacity and how quickly that would charge back up. And of course, we mentioned you can charge it with up to 1,200 watts of solar power with the built-in solar power controller, if you will. And we have a 200 watt solar panel. So again, that's ample to keep the batteries topped off. Now, there is a 4th plug, and that 4th plug allows you to stack additional battery packs, and depending on which battery pack you get, all the way up to 8,000 watts. Watt hours, and that's pretty impressive. The only problem I see with that, and a guitarist would understand what I'm talking about, that starts to look like a Marshall stack. That gets pretty big and pretty heavy. So for our use, just having a single standalone unit has been great. It's got a built-in LCD screen right here that powers on, and it's going to show you numerous things. It's going to show you your power output for AC and power output for DC. It's going to show you your power input for AC and power input for DC. On the AC, they call it grid, you know, because you're coming in off of the AC grid, or if a generator or whatnot. It'll show you the battery capacity of here, and of course this is fully charged, and it'll show you the time remaining for the draw that you're currently putting on the unit. Now, there is an application for your phone as well, and it does show you pretty much all of that, with the exception of one thing, which Bluetti, if you're listening, would love to see you add that to the app, and that is the time remaining. Now, as of this video, it wasn't in the app that I have. That would be tremendously useful. And so it also is cloud capable as well. So it gives you a tremendous amount of information to see exactly what you're drawing. And we're going to demonstrate that. We're going to plug some things into this and then just see what the draw is and how that performs. So as you can see, I've got a bunch of electrical things here. I've got a coffee pot and got our toaster oven here. I would get the hair dryer, but Pam took that with her to Florida, so I can't run that. But instead of running this here, let's go ahead and put it into the use that we would normally do, and that is plugging it into our 30 amp power outside. So we are at a campground with power, so I'll have to unplug that, put the Bluetti in the place that we normally keep it, and then we're going to go put it on our 30 amp, and we're going to start powering stuff on. So a note worth mentioning for both charging and discharging is, if you're going to plug this into your 30 amp and you're going to use a surge protector, then you really do need to purchase a power combiner, if you will. I think it basically ties neutral to ground or something like that. I'll put a link below which will describe the one that we have, and you simply will plug this into one of the 110 outlets like that, and that will allow your surge protector to not see it as a fault and allow obviously power to go through. Now, something interesting I found, I'm not sure if that's an issue with this rig or not, if that I go to charge this on our AC with this plug-in, for some, well, I'm sure I know why, but it'll trip the ground fault interrupter, and so I have to reset that. So I have to make sure when I'm going to charge it with AC that we pull that plug out. Again, I'll put a link below to that particular one. I'm sure there's a bunch on Amazon that you can get. So you could see that it's already started to draw some AC. So let's go in and let's start turning things on, and I'm going to check this out on the Bluetooth app on the phone. Okay, first thing we're going to turn on, and this is, you know, I mean, in order of priority and importance, this is number one for me. It's coffee making. Now, Pam may say it's a hairdryer, but in the morning, it's definitely coffee. So let's put some water in the coffee maker. Let's see what happens with the power now. So we're currently pulling 161 watts. So let's see how that goes. Now that jumped up to 840 watts. Yeah, it went to 840, it's back down to about 825. Let's turn the toaster oven on and see what that does. Now that jumped up to 2 kilowatts. Now I did put the refrigerator on propane, so we're not having to draw power on that, but now we're up to 2 kilowatts. So as I said, as we know, heat definitely takes a lot of power. So I'm going to shut the toaster oven off. I'm going to let that water just in the coffee maker just boil through, kind of help clean it out anyway. So let me turn this off, and that's jumping back down to, takes a little while to go down, 817 or so watts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back over and turn the refrigerator onto AC. I did turn it on to propane, so let's see what we've got here. So I just turned the refrigerator on. Now I'm not sure how quickly that'll come back on. As we said, that takes about 350 watts. Now, one of the things that it's also trying to do, or it could be trying to do, although our batteries are 100% charged, is if they were not, it would be pulling power to try and charge the batteries. And that allows all our DC stuff to continue to run and allows the Bluetti to run everything on AC. So one of the things I want to also show you is the kit they send with the Bluetti. This is going to have all your charging cables in there to connect. And so you've got your AC connection here, and that plugs into obviously a standard 110 and into the AC side. You've got your connector for this will actually go into the solar panel and connect to that. And then the last but not least is your cigarette lighter adapter. So that can go into this particular connector here, like this, and like so. And then this is used for both solar and for DC, and then plugging this in is simply for the DC side through a cigarette lighter adapter. Okay, now the important stuff. Well, it's all important, but this is how we use it most effectively for us. So of course, when you boondock, one of the most important things to do is to keep your refrigerator running. Now we have an absorption style refrigerator in this rig. It's a 3-way, so it can run on DC, AC, or propane, and that's important. And for those of you that know about absorption refrigerators or even don't know, is they're power hogs. When they're running, they're drawing about 350 watts. That's because they're not using a compressor, but they're heating up a liquid to extract out the heat. And anytime you heat things, that tends to use more power than a compressor. So we have to be mindful of that. Now, I can run it all night on our batteries, and, well, I say all night, we'd get about 6 hours before we drain our batteries down, and that assumes nothing else is running. And we do have other things running. We have a small compressor fridge outside. If we plug this into the 30 amp and then let it continue to recharge our batteries, you figure in theory we'd get about double of that. But again, that assumes nothing else is running based on a 350 watt power draw of the refrigerator. And we know there's other things running, and you know, we're going to watch TV at night, we're going to have internet at night, we're going to have things that are running while boondocking that are going to draw power. So probably not the most effective way to do that. So what we have found when we go to bed at night, if we're boondocking, what I will do is I will put the propane on the refrigerator. So we'll turn that on a propane to keep that running overnight, and that's very efficient. It doesn't use a whole lot, obviously. It's cooler at night. I will plug the Bluetti into the AC via the 30 amp, but there's one additional step that I'll do, and I had to test this, is I'll actually turn the converter off in the power panel. And the reason I'm doing that is now this will supply AC to all our AC plugs without having to charge the batteries. Anything else that runs DC in the rig will run off the house batteries. Our two TVs are AC or DC powered, so that's important. So we can put those on DC, run off those off the house battery. We can run this to run all our AC things. We find that's a really effective way. And if you think about it, you know, again, we're using the power of the propane for the refrigerator. And if you think about the capacity of this plus the capacity of our lithium-ion batteries, we basically doubled our power, and we have the ability to run everything we really need to run to get through the night or 2 or 3 or whatever it happens to be. Now, if our house batteries get low, we can use this to recharge those in the morning, or if we're in a place where we're going to start getting some solar feed into the the batteries, and they'll start charging as well. So think about that. If we had put a, say a 2,000 watt inverter into this, and then put the lithium ion batteries to support that, a couple things with this particular rig, we would have had to rewire a lot of things, because the batteries are in compartments in the front of the rig, in locked compartments, and we'd have to get that power all the way back to the converter and the inverter and back and forth, and we'd have to basically get underneath the rig and rewire. And the second thing is, we wouldn't have the capacity that we have by using this and our house batteries in tandem in conjunction. So we think that's a benefit. The only thing that we do lose, and it would be nice to have, although we haven't found the need for that quite yet, is if you had like a multi-plus inverter where you can do your load sharing. So if you've got a 110 volt feed and you needed to run some more things, and you can, invert from the battery and blend that power together. Obviously, we can't do that with this, and we can't even do that in our Alliance, because the inverter that we have doesn't support that. This allows us to run everything AC wise. Again, we haven't tested the AC, and we can run everything else on DC and effectively have a lot of power left in the morning to, if we are leaving, to get our jacks up, to get, I say, almost said slide, no slide in this rig, but get our awnings and those kinds of things and just get ready to go. So I hope this was helpful. Again, we can get deep into the weeds on the specs. I don't think that's as important. It's important, but I think what's really important is, how do you use these and what's the most effective use for this? So we wanted to thank Bluetti for providing this unit to us to test, and we really appreciate that, plus the solar panel. And we hope that you enjoyed this video. We'd love for you to hit the road with us if you haven't subscribed to our channel. And we're mostly a travel vlog channel. We do some product reviews, and again, only things that we have used and things that we like and we think that are extremely effective for us. And certainly Bluetti has been one of those. So thanks, and we hope to catch you on one of our other videos.